Hey yo, Chi-Town, listen up. You are now listening to the best sports talk show in the Windy City. Combs and Fitz. Windy City Sports Talk. From the birds to the lake, there ain't no mistake. The Combs and Fitz gonna have the greatest of the hot takes.
Okay.
So hop on the board and join the bandwagon.
Ooh.
They gonna keep your feet moving and sometimes how you laughing.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
come on through with the sports talk is what you wish. The West know what's up and don't miss. Fitz gibberish.
I can't do
It
that.
don't matter what team you playing, but what's gonna burn that flame. So put your team on the map. Guess what? We gonna do the same. From Comiskey to Wrigley,
What?
from Soldier to UC.
Okay.
Windy City Sports is where you need to be. But there is no furthermore. You get the jits. So let's get the rest for Combs and Fitz.
And what is going on, Windy City Sports Talk fans? It's your boy Brandon Combs, along with my guy Ryan Fitz Gibbons. Why are you muted, you rookie?
We already got mad people in the chat. You usually unmute me to start the damn show.
I know, but I still like to call you a rookie.
What
Who's
is
mad?
going on? MLB trade. Thought it would be bigger already this year, but it really is. It hasn't been as big as we thought, but lots of movement in Chicago, baby.
Yes.
Chi-Town's owning this trade market right now. I mean, for right now, Cubs, Sox, we'll get to it all.
A
And you know
ton of trades have been made. The White Sox send like 3 players of the Cardinals who didn't have to give up a damn thing.
There's got to be something else.
They gave Edmund to Tommy Edmund to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers were like, all right, we'll give up our farm system then.
I guess.
What the
I
hell
mean-
happened? I mean, they got Kopech out of the deal too, the Dodgers did, but I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
I mean, for right now, I thought they'd get more for Fetty, but and then St. Louis gets at least a middle rotational pitcher. I mean,
Yeah.
at the very least, who's been great. He's got under 3 ERA. He's been
Yep.
striking out people, and Eric Fetty. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the radio station yesterday. We got a great show lined up for you guys too, by the way. Just so you guys know, we're going to talk the NFC East. We're going to talk about the Bears. They've got a game this week,
Bear down.
and we're going to talk about
That
the
was-
trade deadline. But like I was saying, we're at the radio station yesterday, and all of a sudden, I'm getting alert after alert, and this happened.
Who had Isaac Paredes to the Cubs on their deadline bingo cards? I would imagine the answer is pretty much no one.
Yeah, you got to give up something to get something. Cubs getting back a lot of talent, a lot of power, and the youth still there.
So that happens. You could definitely tell there Christopher Morel's got a little bit of there's some emotion there. He's trying to hold it back. You could tell as he's talking to the guys and dapping them up as they're on their way back. But I mean, look, it was a good trade in my eyes. It's not I'm not going to take a lap and run around my house with my flag waving, but it was a good trade for the Cubs. It was a good business trade for the Cubs. And look, if I'm not a fan of the Cubs, but I'm a fan of the Tampa Bay Rays, I'm probably a lot happier about it, right? Because it is a small market trade, there's a small market move, and that's what this is. The Cubs are kind of in that path right now. I mean, Jed Hoyer right now, to me, and I've said this a bunch of times, Jed Hoyer has the tiniest GM balls in baseball. He just does. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. You could talk about, the Ricketts and and them not opening the checkbook, or you can talk about all of this stuff. he's got to do something then. Either that or just stop talking about the things that you're doing, because what it's making Jed Hoyer look like when he talks about these moves and when he talks about the business model of the Rays and when he talks about all of this stuff that he's doing, it makes him sound like he does not know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't pick up Jose Ramirez or Austin Riley or Alex Bregman or anything like that. Not to say that Isaac Paredes is he was in the Cubs obviously know him. They got him from Mexico, like 7-8 years ago. Traded him off to Detroit in that more of the Candelario trade. When they traded him off, I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It almost reminds me of the Soler trade. When they got rid of Soler, and they needed the closer that they got for Soler, but Soler was a power hitter who wasn't really hitting for average, didn't really have a spot within the system, and then went away and was able to hit some home runs. But
it's one of those. And Jeremiah Meyer says that when Morel hits 45 home runs in Tampa, it's going to feel really bad. It's not though, because here's the thing. Even if Morel does go on to be a superstar, even if that is the case, the Cubs weren't going to pay him next year. And the Cubs have already shown that. The Cubs weren't going to give him a deal. His deal expired at the end of next year. He could hit 45 home runs in Tampa. It's really not going to feel bad, because here's the thing. They got Isaac Paredes. I don't care, Isak or whatever the hell they call him.
Isak,
whatever. Isaac Paredes is coming over to the Cubs, and I don't think
that broadcasting thing's going to work out for you.
He's doing right now what the Cubs wanted Morel to be doing. He did last year what the Cubs wanted Morel to do. He's doing that now. He's hitting 250 while hitting 31 home runs. Like, those are the things that he is doing right now. Yes, Morel has the ability to do that, and there's going to be a whole lot less pressure to be able to do that in Tampa Bay, and I think that's going to benefit Chris Morel. I don't think that, if he hits 45 home runs, to me, yeah, look, I'm going to enjoy watching it anyway, because I love Christopher Morel. I'm going to enjoy watching him be successul. And my guy Nick Johnson claps at me because I said on our show last week, the Cubs should buy and they should sell. And I bring up, here's the thing about Nick Johnson and Scotty Kiefer, who I do this show with at Illinois Media School. It is called Low Blow Sports. You can catch us on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Central. # shameless plug. When I say things like, oh yeah, Vladdy, or I threw out the name of Mason Miller too. It's a generalization. I was saying the Cubs should buy and sell at the same time. I was and what I said when I said Vladdy or Mason Miller, I said, if they were to go and get guys like that, that still doesn't make them a contender this year. The moves they're going to make are for next year. The moves they're going to make because Fitzy, you and I were talking about this before the show.
We were.
We were talking about this before the show. I don't think that there was a move
outside of the show. We do talk.
Yeah, on the 5 minutes of free time that I have, we talk. So.
Hey,
but I said there wasn't a move the Cubs were going to make that was going to make them better than the Phillies or the Braves or the Dodgers this year, and that's just how I feel about it. But it's for next year. And that's why I said buy and sell. You're not going. It would have made no sense if they traded Christopher Morel to Tampa for prospects. It would have made no sense if they sent Jameson Taillon to the Yankees tomorrow for prospects. It would have made no sense for them to trade Cody Bellinger to whoever he ends up going to for prospects. It makes more sense for them to get major league players in return. And that's what I've been saying. But Nick Johnson and Kobe, as he said, don't forget Kobe. Kobe's easy to forget. He doesn't talk. They have to buy and sell at the same time. They have to buy and sell at the same time, because it doesn't make sense for them to get prospects in return, because they are so rich with prospects right now that are positionally blocked that it doesn't make sense to do that.
So basically, you're in lockstep with Jed Hoyer, and at the same time, you bitch about him and say he's a bad general manager that should be fired at the end of the season.
He should still be fired at the end of the season.
That's what you're doing.
He should be fired at the end of the season.
You're doing no
with the roster that he put together this year, and he gave.
Let you talk.
You asked me a question. Let me answer it. With this roster that he gave Craig Counsell, he should be fired at the end of the season. After paying your manager this much money and giving him this to work with, you should be let go at the end of the season. If I'm Tom Ricketts, I'm like, why did I pay $208 million this year? You told me we were going to be good. We were terrible. You need to go hang out with David Ross and play some golf.
Yeah, I think the big thing was, and Jeremiah put in the chat a few weeks ago that, the bullpen is a crapshoot. Yeah, it is, except for the top 10 to 20 bullpen arms there are out there. Pretty much the same guys every year. Even Kenley Jansen is still out there, who was pitching against the Cubs when they were winning World Series. I mean, there's guys out there that are good pretty much every year, and you didn't get any of them. You said, we're going to bring guys in. They just got another guy from Toronto. We're going to put them in our pitch lab, and they're going to be great. Only they weren't good enough this year. You can get cheap on a lot of your bullpen. You can put a bullpen together, but when you don't have somebody who's coming up who is your closer, when you have Albert Alzolay, who had a good year last year. He had a good year, did not have a great year, did not even have 30 saves last year.
And he's a failed starter.
And it's a failed starter who has been known to not really strike guys out. I'm not saying he can't be a strikeout pitcher one day. It happens to guys who are starters.
You can't be a strikeout guy throwing 94 miles an hour in today's game.
But now I'm comparing him to Dennis Eckersley. So, but anyway, if you do that, you're saying you're showing me your confidence in your team, which wasn't very confident. And if you're doing that to save money, if you're telling me, because that's basically what Jed Hoyer said, we're doing this, we don't need a bullpen. We have like the pitch lab. They want to talk about everything they do behind the scenes, and then they don't pay for somebody. You're telling me you're trying to save money. And like you said, we did talk before. That's a small market shit. That's why Tampa Bay Devil Rays are getting rid of Isaac Paredes, because they know they can get 3 players for him, and maybe a Morel who, like Jeremiah said, hits 45 home runs in a season, because you have to pay for slugging percentage in this league. And if they get Morel on the cheap for 5 years who could slug for them, they'll take that, and maybe 2 pitchers that they can bring into their own weird labs over there and whatever they're doing in Tampa Bay.
Not only that, but you're also talking to, the Rays. This is what the Rays do. The Rays develop talent, and then they trade them before they have to pay them. That's just what they do, and they're really good at it. Don't get me wrong. The Rays are really good at developing talent. They are constantly a good team because they develop talent in the minors. They bring them up, but as soon as that talent is ready to get paid, they trade them. It's just what they do. And if they can find a way to get a guy for cheaper that can do the same things of the guys that they're trading, that's what they're going to do. And so I just don't. I think you can buy and sell, so you couldn't be wrong either way.
Nick Johnson coming out hot.
You better pack a lunch tomorrow, Nick Johnston. Any rate, it was one of those things, but look, and the Cubs took 2 out of 3 this weekend from the Kansas City Royals. Let's not get away from that. They played a really solid 2 games of baseball in Kansas City. They started a game. They're in the top of the first right now against the Cincinnati Reds. It's a big series this week, and then they play the St. Louis Cardinals in a 4-game set. So it's going to be a big stretch of games for the Chicago Cubs. If they can go 10 out of 12, I might be back in, but they've got to win like 10 out of 12 for me to even think that and that's just for the wild card. They're out of the division. You're 10 games out, and you got everybody in your division in front of you. You're out of it. Even the wild card, you're 5 games out, but you got 6 teams ahead of you. I'm not saying that this team is do it, but what the Isaac Paredes trade does for you is that not only does it make you stronger at a position that you needed, it makes it so that next year you've got that position shored up for the next 2 or 3 years. It makes sure you got that position shored up, and at the same time, it still whatever maintains hope for the fans for this year that you're not just giving up.
Jeremiah's swearing.
The press seems to think we'd save everyone a lot of time and trouble if we just went out and shot ourselves.
Meanwhile, in White Sox country.
But yeah, no, I mean, look, Craig Counsell even said it yesterday after the game. I mean, let's take a listen to what Craig Counsell had to say.
Listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, Javi, it was an impressive outing because I don't think Javi started out really well, and I think I thought Christian did a really good job just being with him, and I thought Javi did a really good job of kind of maybe doing a little things different than he's done in the past. We saw more off-speed stuff today, and he got his off-speed stuff going, which was really fun to watch, actually. And that's just a credit to Javi, just kind of like recognizing it on the fly in game and making that adjustment. He had a really good feel for the cutter. Slider was good today, and then he got better as the game went on. Well, I mean, we got good production at the bottom of our lineup today. Bencourt and Pete just did really good things today, and that was certainly a big part of. Nico had a big hit to get us back to even. But yeah, those guys at the bottom lineup, we play pretty well when those guys at the bottom of the lineup do something offensively. A little bit strange telling someone during the game that they've been traded. It was certainly surprising and shocking to Chris. And he's, provided Cubs fans with a lot of memories for sure, even in a short time here. In the end, we think we got a third baseman who's been a really good offensive player in this league and can do really well for us at that position.
We got a third.
And that's the thing. They got a third baseman. They got a guy that they think can do well for them. And again, I see that Jeremiah said that they got a third baseman in the pipeline that made Paredes expendable. The Cubs also have a third baseman in the pipeline that could also make Paredes expendable later on. But it gives them some flexibility at that position. It gives them some flexibility, especially with the guy that they drafted in Matt Shaw, who is one of those guys that he's a shortstop, and Dansby Swanson continues to struggle. He might not have to try to transition over to third base because Dansby Swanson has not been worth $177 million. I said this the other day. I tweeted it out. Dansby Swanson is a felon, and he should be treated as such. He has stolen $177 million. That's
terrible.
Thanks,
it is terrible. It's terrible that he stole $177 million. It's terrible that $177 million ball player is hitting 200. Yeah, it's terrible. Jesus.
200.
Yeah.
God,
200.
I didn't think we'd get there.
Speaking of getting there, you ready for Fitz gibberish?
You're getting frustrated over there. Yes! It's Fitz gibberish, ladies and gentlemen. It's a diatribe, it's conspiracy theory, and it's an island in the middle of unapologetic and sometimes inaccurate sports talk. I think we did really good tonight. I mean, who knows?
We've been on for 18 minutes.
Who knows what's going to happen? Coming up. Yes, the MLB trade deadline is coming and going. It is scheduled.
You mean you're not going to talk Olympic breakdancing?
Oh, maybe next week. We'll see. I got something for the Olympics next week. That's a little foreshadowing for you Fitz gibberish fans, all of you 10. Anyway, it's less than 24 hours away, the MLB trade line. And like so many male teenagers on prom night, wading through Eric Clapton's song, Wonderful Tonight, we are getting a little impatient over here, especially in White Sox country. Anyway, let's get to the hotel room already. Close the deal, MLB, and go halves on a bastard. Anyway, all jokes aside, it is an anxious time to say the least. And reading through predictions on the trade deadline does not yield many answers. Garrett Crochet, for instance, has been linked to about over 10 teams. We have already named a few in the last few weeks. So instead of going into Bob Nightingale's and Jeff to the Bob Nightingale and Jeff Passons of the world, if I could talk, I thought we'd take a little trip into the future, Combs. What is the future? What is the future, you ask? Yeah. We're not talking about astronauts. We're not talking about space travel. Yes, sir. We are talking about artificial intelligence. And in this case, in video AI, I had some time the other day to look through a little bit of artificial intelligence, and I asked artificial intelligence what was going to go on in the upcoming trade deadline.
Am I the only one that didn't know about these shocking MLB trades? Let's dive in. First up, the Yankees snagged superstar pitcher Jake Frost from the Dodgers. That's right, Frost is heading to the Bronx, and fans are buzzing. But wait, there's more. The Red Sox made a surprising move, trading their top prospect, Danny Rivera, to the Astros for veteran slugger Mike Harper. Playoff implications, anyone? And in a jaw-dropping twist, the Cubs and the Mets swapped aces. Yes, you heard that right. Lucas Taylor heads to New York while Chicago welcomes back Trevor Glass. These trades are set to shake up the postseason race. So, who do you think scored the best deal? Drop your...
All right, we can stop that.
What the hell was that?
I think we can pump the brakes on thinking AI is going to take over the world anytime soon. None of those players even exist on those teams. Yikes. I even have written yikes up there.
Did that really? Was that real?
No, none of that. Well, that was AI. I tried to generate an MLB deadline prediction from artificial intelligence. That's what they spit up. Myself and the production team staff of Windy City Sports Talk created our own AI video, though, because in the news this week, AJ Pierzynski is said to be possibly the next manager.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there.
Of the White Sox, AJ Pierzynski. So we asked AI what would happen on AJ Pierzynski's first day, and this is what it spit out.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Local press seems to think we'd save everyone a lot of time and trouble if we just went out and shot ourselves.
Well, folks, as you can see, it's hard predicting what is going to happen in the next 23 hours. But I thought I'd take a crack at it.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Hey, Combs, since I just watched half a podcast on remote viewing, which is using your mind to remotely view what is happening.
I just want to remind people listening to this podcast right now that the thoughts of Fitz gibberish are solely that of Ryan Fitzgibbons and have no bearing whatsoever on the thoughts of Brandon Combs. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, which is remote viewing is using your mind to view what is happening in other parts of the world. So I, Mr. Combs, am going to use my mind to try to reach out into the future, into other lands, and see what is happening in baseball's trade deadline. And I will close my eyes to try to get out there.
One more disclaimer.
I feel like I'm losing your patience already, Mr. Combs.
I hear Fitz gibberish for the first time like you do.
Blake Snell is going to go to the Houston Astros for their 25th pick. For their 25th
round pick
down the farm system. And just about nobody else. Also, Garrett Crochet is going to go to the Yankees for Spencer Jones and maybe their 7th or 8th guy in their farm system. And I also have one more about the commissioner of baseball. Rob Manfred will be replaced by, yes, you guessed it, Combs, a wet sock. And I asked.
He's crazier than a shithouse rat. No wonder you're acting the way you.
I also asked AI what would happen if the commissioner of baseball was replaced by a wet sock, and this is what came out.
Why do 73% of baseball fans think a wet sock would make a better commissioner? Let's dive in. That's right, folks. The new commissioner of baseball is none other than a soggy, soaked, waterlogged sock. Imagine the rule changes. First up, slip and slide bases. Sliding into home has never been this fun. Or
I'm not going to lie, I'm
wet.
not mad at this idea.
And forget about the 7th inning stretch. Now we have the 7th
Hey,
inning
we'll get rid of
splash.
blackouts.
Can you picture team meetings? Instead
The
of
wet
discussing
sock would
stats,
be a
they're
better
figuring out how to keep their
commissioner,
feet dry.
for sure.
And don't even get me started on the new official snack soggy popcorn. Yum. The Sox main.
And that's Fitz gibberish, Combs. What could you possibly say at this point?
I mean, I
I think predicting what's going to happen at the trade deadline is slog.
sloth. Oh God.
Glass isn't real. My whole childhood was a lie.
I don't know what I think that the crochet one is possible. I think the crochet one is possible. I don't know that Chris Getz is that smart though.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I think they'll trade Garrett Crochet to the Yankees, and they'll end up with like 3 mid-level prospects.
And who wants Blake Snell right now? You texted me maybe the Cubs would get Blake
They
Snell.
were one of 6 teams reported by freaking John Heyman that are in on Blake Snell. I said, what is going on? What are they doing?
I don't know.
What's the one thing that's not broken on the Cubs? It's the starting rotation.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
why are you going to
really
mess
hit.
with it?
Yeah, I think you improved their hitting and, possibly third base. I mean, Paredes isn't a great third baseman defensively, but he's got a cannon. So, I mean, that makes up for anything he can do laterally. And how much do you have to move laterally really as a third baseman, especially without the shit nowadays? So, but.
Well, I too asked AI a question, and I said, AI, what's it like when Jerry Reinsdorf calls a meeting preseason with Chris Getz and says, hey, look, just don't win. And this is what it told me.
Here's a list of the players we'll be inviting to camp.
I never heard of half of these guys, and the ones I do know are way past their prime.
Most of these guys never had a prime.
This guy here is dead.
We'd love for you to come to spring training for a shot at this year's club.
Is that you, Tolbert?
What?
This is very funny, I'm hungover. My knees are killing me, and if you're gonna pull this shit, at least you could have said you were from the Yankees.
I mean, that's actually pretty accurate. I mean, it's kind of scary.
White Sox trade or what?
How good AI is.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, actually. Being surrounded by
accurate
and driving a truck off the cliff, it's just about as good too.
So I also asked AI, what's it like in the clubhouse with Pedro Gafal?
Local press seems to think we'd save everyone a lot of time and trouble if we just went out and shot ourselves.
And then lastly, I said, AI, what would happen if the White Sox were actually started marketing? This is what they said.
Hello, you know us. We're a Major League Baseball team.
But since we haven't won a pennant in over 30 years,
20 years.
Us.
That's why we carry the American Express card.
No matter how far out of first we are, it's cool. It keeps us from getting shut out at our favorite hotels and restaurant-type places.
The American Express card. Don't steal home without it.
AI is pretty accurate when it comes to questions about the White Sox.
Stay up till midnight watching that movie because of you.
I love that movie.
But White Sox trade.
Yeah. So the White Sox 3-team trade. What did you think of it? I mean, look, the Cardinals didn't give up anything. How did they get away with this?
I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals aren't in on a lot of giant trades usually. Like you've said before, you hate them, but they do a lot. They do well at prospecting. They do well at scouting. They usually don't need to have other teams scout players like the Sox need other teams to scout position players for them. And that's what the Sox got. They got 3 position players, sort of 2 guys to be named later, even though they'll probably be a low, middle A. Miguel Vargas is interesting. I mean, he's like another one of these Dodgers players, almost like Michael Busch, who, didn't have a place at first base with the Dodgers. The Cubs picked him up, played well for the Cubs this year. Maybe their best hitter, maybe.
And they traded this guy.
Because I'm prepared to fuck somebody up. So you can take it as what it is.
Yeah, so all those guys, he's back with St. Louis, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah. And then Fetty, which the Cardinals wanted, they got, it seems like, for a guy who's hurt.
So here's what happened. The White Sox gave up 3 players in this trade. The Dodgers gave up 3 prospects in this trade. And the Cardinals got 2 players in return.
I don't get it. Megan said,
what happened?
Megan TV says this show is the AI result of an acid flashback. That trade is an AI result of an acid flashback.
Bullshit.
I don't get it. There's got to be another piece here. There's got to be another piece here, right?
Oh, no.
There could be. With Kopech gone, the Sox lose one of 2 crown jewels from the Chris Sale trade. Yeah, Moncada. He was supposed to be coming back right after the All-Star break. We're obviously now.
Oh, no.
We're obviously a couple weeks after the All-Star break. And we're still sitting here waiting for Moncada to come back.
Meanwhile, Jerry has made a phone call to Chris Getz, and we have sound.
Well played, you son of a bitch.
Tommy Swap. I
mean, look, Tommy Edman was the only player that the Cardinals gave up in that trade, and he goes to the Dodgers.
I don't get it in that way. And I thought the Sox could have got more for Fetty. I mean,
it was like the White Sox and Dodgers made a trade, and the Cardinals were like, "Can we get some players too?" And the White Sox were like, "Yeah, here."
Yeah, there you go. And the Dodgers were like, "Wait a second, what happened?"
The Cardinals they were just like,
"No,
they
you're
were
not
like that."
They
were like that guy on the corner as you're handing your wife a $20 bill, and then the guy on the corner comes up and he's like, "Hey, any spare change?" And so you're forced to give him $5, and that's what the White Sox did. They gave him $5.
Yeah, I mean, the Sox do get something in return. Like I said, this Miguel Vargas was a top 20, 29 prospect. He did play a little bit in the MLB and did not play well. Let's just say that, but not many games, not anything that would show what he could do. And then the other 2 guys are 19, 20 years old. I just thought they'd get a little bit more for Fetty. I do understand he hasn't done jack shit other than what he's done the last 4 or 5 months or 3-4 months, counting spring training, I guess. I mean, I just thought the Sox would do a little bit more for Fetty. I guess it's an okay trade. You have to see how it goes. I mean, if Miguel Vargas is a stud, you did well. If not, you're probably having some problems. And Kopech, you weren't getting much for. The guy's got a load of talent. I don't know how he gives up as many runs as he does. Well, I do.
He throws the ball 100 miles an hour right down the center of the plate.
Yeah, sometimes. And when he doesn't, he walks guys and then throws the ball right down the center of the plate. But he's got such nasty, even his fastball moves all over the place.
Yeah.
But, baseball's 80% in between the ears. And I don't know if this kid, I don't think he has it. He's not even really a kid anymore. Was he 26, 27?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Downing Thomas, you fucking asshole. The Chris Sale trade did not work out for the Sox. You had a good starting. You had to look like everybody was saying could be it.
Can you stop yelling at me, please?
No, I can't stop yelling because that's how I talk.
You had a guy in Mikado who was like third in batting average, had 20-something home runs in 2019, had an okay year in 2021, hasn't done jack squat since then. Yeah, you're in you're in trouble if this is all you're getting back for Fetty, especially nowadays where you're not getting as much prospects back in trades as you were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Jeremiah, guess what? The knock is on Vargas. He doesn't have a fucking position. I think there's a lot of players coming out that doesn't have the Cubs just traded a guy who doesn't have a position. Really? In Morel. But
the Cubs also don't have 9 other players that are like that in their lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Sox need position players, and I don't know if this made them better. It just depends on, I think, Miguel Vargas being the centerpiece of the trade. It depends on what he's going to do. These young guys, you're not going to see until 2026 if you're lucky, and probably 2027.
So who's next for the White Sox? Crochet's gone, right?
Well, I would think he would have to be.
Did he handcuff himself with the comments?
Yeah, he just had comments this week. I think you're leading me on. What are you going to do?
I'm asking you a question. Did he handcuff the White Sox?
Yeah, he came out recently saying that he wanted an extension before he'd be in the playoffs with any team. I don't know if any of that's true. Bob Nightingale came out with it with USA Today. I don't know how true that is. It sounds like it's true. And I don't think any team's going to want to pick him up if that's what he wants. This isn't the NFL. You're going to have arbitration years.
Yeah.
You're one of the better starters in the league. You're going to probably make $10 to $15 million, maybe even more over the next 2 years per year. Are next year if you do it again. And if you don't want to prove it, after pitching 170 innings in the league, then I have a problem with that. You're not and we'll talk about the wide receiver DB Lamb over at with the Cowboys. You're not him, who basically led the league in receptions and yardage and all that.
And you make it so that teams are turned off by that.
Yeah,
who wants to bring that into their clubhouse? Because now other players are hearing this.
I don't know how true it is. It could be like the Caleb Williams effect where everybody's saying stuff about Caleb Williams, but he hasn't really. He does. Nightingale writes so much with Jerry's dick in his hand. Yeah, he does. His head is shoved up Jerry Reinsdorf's ass. But
stop it.
I don't know. Most of the time, what he says does bear out. Most. Sometimes you're like, what was that? Well, that never came to fruition. But I just don't know what the next step is here for the Sox if this is true from Garrett Crochet. This just doesn't happen in baseball where you have guaranteed contracts. You don't have guys saying, I want an extension or I'm not going to play in the playoffs. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Yeah, I think that Crochet's got to be gone. I think that I think you've got to empty this roster. You have to, because what are you hanging on to any of these pieces for? What good does Robert do you? What good does Crochet do you over the next 2 or 3 years? Because this team is in a black hole. They're not going to compete over the next 2 years. We talked before the deadline or before the All-Star break, and we were talking about whether or not the White Sox were going to be able to be the worst team ever, and we said no, they're going to accidentally win at least another 25 games, and they had 27 wins at that point. And then we talked last week, and we said no, they're going to accidentally win 16 more games, and they had 27 wins at that point. Well, guess what? They still have 27 wins. This team is that bad. They're not getting better. And with all the pieces that they're getting rid of anyway, they're not getting better. This team is not going to be good for at least the next 5 to 10 years.
I just don't think Robert's going to take the price that you want to get for a guy like him. I just don't think he is. I don't think you're going to get, I think you're going to get something like you got for Fetty for him. And really, I'd rather him hang around and maybe he's a unicorn in 2 years and you have some of these rookies coming up in 2026. He's tied up until 2027. There is nothing that's going to come in for him where I'll go, okay, I'd rather have that than Robert can hit 38 home runs.
What have you seen from this farm system that makes you think that in 2026 you're going to see something?
I'm not done.
Oh, the White Sox are.
I'm going to ask AI what they would do with Robert. They probably
ask him what a wet sock would do with this team.
I'm sure we get something out of it.
Actually, we already know what a wet sock would do with this team. We're watching it on a daily basis.
Actually, a wet sock doing nothing at all would do a lot better with this team. I just don't see right now. I just don't. I mean, if you traded him at the end of last season, which with 4 years left would be kind of dumb, you would have got a lot of talent for him. You're not getting that right now. At the last 60 games of the season, he hits another 10, 15 home runs, and then he comes out next season, or even in the offseason, you trade him to a desperate team. I think you're going to get a lot more for him. I just do not see the reason to trade Robert right now, unless you get a bunch of prospects that I'm just not seeing that it's possible for them to get for him.
Any chance Pedro Grafal is not done at the end of this year?
No, he's gone. He's gone. And they're saying maybe AJ Przinsky, maybe even Tito, who used to be the coach of the Cleveland Indians, won a World Series with the Boston Red Sox. This motherfucker, he's just trying to get me to yell now. The Orioles have a catcher and that's going to be real good, and they have no place for him. They don't need another catcher. They actually have catchers. Corey Lee actually looks good. Eddie Quaro is raking. Like, stop.
But see, here's the thing though, is that Jeremiah is thinking realistically, and right now you're thinking like a fan, which is something that I've never seen from you.
Realistically, since we started the show, he hasn't been.
But you're thinking like a fan. It's the same thing that Nick Johnston and Scotty Kiefer were doing to me last week, because what they're doing, you're thinking
who do you
like
think you're going to get for Robert. Who do you think you're going to get?
But think about it realistically. When are the White Sox when do you expect the White Sox to be competitive?
I would want two solid prospects.
I need you to answer my question. When do you expect the White Sox to be competitive?
I'm telling you what I want from them.
No, when do you expect the White Sox to be competitive?
Well, when Jerry Reinsdorf said this year. So I'm still waiting.
Jerry Reinsdorf said
realistically, 2026 has to be a year where you're at least starting to become relevant. Exactly, but you're at least becoming relevant again. You're collecting all these prospects. Drew Thorpe isn't getting any younger. I mean, what is his name? Ibierita, who they got also for Cease, isn't getting any younger. They also got a lot of these position players. They've drafted players. I mean, you would think they have to at least be relevant by 2026. Robert's still on the team.
This team.
You're not going to say what I say. You're not going to take it seriously, you son of a bitch.
He's crazier than a shithouse rat. No one.
I'm just saying. There's
no way.
With the assets that they have traded away, the lands, the Lance Lands, if they trade away Crochet, they traded away Fetty.
Right, I understand they've made trades, but the trades that you have to make sure these trades are good. They traded away Dylan Cease and got the #1 pitcher from the Padres, and guess what? Dylan Cease pitched a no-hitter, and that same night, the #1 pitcher that they got gave up 8 runs to the worst hitting team in baseball.
We're talking about a fanboy, right? You just called me a fanboy. We're talking about a fanboy if we're going to talk about one start in a pitcher's career. If we're going to say Drew Thorpe
hasn't been good since he's come up.
He's terrible. No, he's had a lot of good starts. That is not right. We'll get our production staff on it, but that is not right. Thanks, Megan TV. Fight. We will, because Drew Thorpe he's had a lot of good starts. That was a bad start, which is going to happen. You know who else had a lot of bad starts? Who couldn't hit the strike zone if he fucking fell out of a boat?
Every White Sox pitcher.
Dylan Cease, who actually ruined their 2021 bid in the playoffs when he could not throw a freaking strike, couldn't get out of the 4th inning. So pump the brakes on Dylan Cease for a second. Yeah, they got Drew Thorpe, and they got a couple other players too. I don't know if they're. My guess is with Chris Gatz, they're probably going to be bad. But I think I have a little faith in Josh Barfield and some of the other guys he's collected together to maybe at least give them a chance. I don't give Jerry Reinsdorf a chance. Maybe he falls backwards into a good team. I don't know. He's done it before.
This team, if you expect, unless Jerry Reinsdorf dies today, this team is not going to be competitive in 2026. It's just not going to happen. Chris Getz is going to continue to be the GM. They're going to continue to make bad decisions when it comes into bringing managers. They're going to continue to not having guys that can play the game of baseball at a consistent level. That's just not what the White Sox are doing. And I hate it. I don't like that the White Sox are going to be this bad for so long, but they're going to be this bad for so long. And we're going to have to talk about it year after year.
I don't like that the Cubs are okay with being middling.
I don't like that either.
Average. And Jeremiah says it's hitting the strike zone while falling off a boat. I'm sorry. You're turning me into George W. Bush right now.
But no, you're turning into a Sox fan, which I don't get. I don't understand what you're doing here. I come to you with facts about how the White Sox, there's no way the White Sox are going to be good. And you're like, well, I don't like the fact that the Cubs are middling.
I can't tell you. I'm not spending 24 freaking 30, 40, 50 days on the road looking at these prospects, smoking cigarettes, eating freaking Cheetos like some of these scouts are, like scouting these guys. All I could say is they look like they got a decent return for Dylan Cease. Could they have not? Yes, they could have. But I have to see how this thing plays out. It's not going to play out in a month or two. Like,
If you build it, he will come. People will come, Ray.
Drew Thorpe is coming. Okay, that was a little weird. I'm just saying I have to see it play out at least a little bit here. I can't.
You gotta at least switch hands first.
Drew Thorpe had one bad outing. Oh, he's terrible. I can't.
It's not just one bad outing.
Strikeouts. He led the minor league in strikeouts last year. What am I supposed to say? Yeah, he's bad because he had one bad outing. This is how you want to do things, Combs. A guy has good 60 games. He's the best. He's the best pitcher in the sport. No,
that's not what you're doing.
Baseball.
But that's not reality. That's not when you're looking at stuff like that. You're talking about the White Sox in 2 years being a contender. That's not realistic. It's just not because you have to look at this White Sox organization. You have to look from the top down first.
They're terrible. That's what I'm saying.
It's terribly run.
I think is realistic. What a team should be able to do with the assets that they've traded away. That's all I'm saying.
And in 2026, I'm going to ask you the same question. You're going to say 2028.
I'm not going to say I trust it. I'm saying what a competent GM.
But I didn't ask you that. I asked you when the White Sox were going to be competitive.
I don't think they'll be good. No, I don't. I don't think they'll be good. But I think what
that's what I was asking you though.
What they should be. Yeah, they should be. They should be a lot better. It should be a lot better team.
My question is, when do you think the White Sox. Not when they should. Not when a competent. When are the White Sox going to be? Because they're not a competent run organization. They don't have a competent front office. They don't have a competent owner.
I don't think they'll be good again until they get rid of Jerry Ryan. I don't think when Jerry Reinsdorf sells.
I
the
think
team,
they're 8 to 10 years away.
when
I
Jerry
really
Reinsdorf,
do. This is going to be bad. This is going to be Oakland A's. This is going to be Colorado Rockies. This is what this team is going to be for the next 10 years.
It's going to be way worse than that. I mean, I don't see them being any better than that. I mean, I'm just saying what I would think from the White Sox. I mean, what I would think from a normal team. From a normal, like middling team with the assets they had, yes, they should have turned this around by 2026 with the assets they had. With the trade they got a couple of good pieces in the minor leagues. Yeah, they actually fell backwards into Colson Montgomery, who I think is going to be a stud. He's not having the greatest
If
year.
they weren't going to be hiring first-time manager after first-time manager after first-time manager over the next 5, 6, 7 years.
And here's Drew Thorpe's last 5 games, if you'd like. 6 innings, 0 runs against Detroit. 6 innings, 2 runs against, the Colorado Rockies. 6 innings, 6.6 and a third.
Really good offenses, man.
1 run against the Miami Marlins.
Okay. All right.
6 innings, 2 runs against Minnesota. 6 innings, 0 runs against your Kansas City Royals.
And then the game before that, 7 innings of 1-hit ball versus the Rich Beverly 12U All-Stars.
I'm just saying, last 5 outings before that, he gave up 3 runs. Come on. No, 5 runs, whatever.
In what, 4 innings of work?
No, he gave it was 6 innings. Did you listen to what I said?
No.
6 innings, 6 innings, 6 and a third, 6 and a third, 6 innings. Yeah, 0 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, 2 runs, 0 runs. So
these trades that they're making, they have to make sure that they're going to pan out, and they're not going to. It's because of the way the organization is run. They don't have anybody that can develop talent.
That they would. I wasn't talking like a fanboy at the time. I was talking like someone who's like, when should they? If you said when should they with a competent,
I didn't. That's not what I said, though. Did you listen to what I said? I said, when will they?
Yeah,
when do you think they will be good?
We're gonna go back in the tape, and we're gonna see what was said. You said what should that's what they should be. In 2026, they should be a competent team. Yeah, around 500 with a lot of good young players. Yes, that's where they should be. Are they going to be there?
No.
It's hard. Yeah, almost definitely.
I can tell you 110% with 110% confidence. They will not be good in 2026.
You were the one that had confidence in them winning the division this year.
I was confident in them winning the division this year. I was confident in them being able to have talent and be able to. All that is gone. All of that is gone. I have no confidence in the Chicago White Sox organization.
Who would? Who would at this point?
On July 9th. On July 9th, they hit their 27th win. It is July 29th. They are still sitting at 27 wins. They are about to go on. If they lose tonight, this will be their second 14-game losing streak of the season.
Yeah, which I'm not sure it's ever happened.
They had never had a 14-game losing streak in the history of their organization. They're about to have 2 of them in the same season.
No, and they actually, the year they won the World Series, they had an 8-game winning streak.
And they did this with a team where at the trade deadline, their 2 starting pitchers are the 2 most coveted starting pitchers on the market.
Well, I think Skubal was just a shade above, just because he had more innings logged than Crochet, but you're basically right. They did.
Well, everybody can get Skubal, yeah, but I mean,
what about Fatty? Fatty's a bit of a unicorn too, because Fatty can strike guys out and when you try to hit him, your ball just goes into the ground. I mean, he could be quite the pitcher with his sinker. When his sinker is working, like you can't really hit that, and then he strikes you out too with his slider, and he's got a soft curveball too. He's a very interesting pitcher and could be a really good pitcher in this league. Most people are saying middle of the rotation because he doesn't throw fast enough and doesn't have as many strikeouts, but I mean, this is a guy who could be your number 2, I think, in some areas. And I think he fixed it out.
I hate the fact that he went to the Cardinals.
I don't know how St. Louis got him.
I don't
know how. There's got to be another player in this trade.
I mean, you would hope so.
Yeah, you got Eric Fetty for a utility hurt player.
Well, we're going to see. We still got one more day. The trade deadline's tomorrow. We'll see what happens between now and then. But let's transition. Let's talk some Chicago Bears because there's football this week, baby.
Update on Justin Fields. He's progressing every day. He is not medically cleared yet. And Bajent will be our starter for this game, and Peterman will back him up. Accuracy's improving. He's throwing it better, and he's starting to do more and more and more. So we'll see where it goes. And right now we're listing him as doubtful, and we'll see where it goes from there.
If he's not medically cleared, well, how come doubtful versus out?
Yeah, just to see. We got to give him one more day. But he's working hard, and it's getting better every day. So we'll see where it goes.
He's not playing tomorrow.
Yeah, he's not playing.
I'm having trouble understanding. He's not playing, but he's doubtful. Is he out or doubtful?
Now he's listed as doubtful.
But you're saying that he's out. He's not going to play.
We'll see where it goes. The chances are doubtful, 51% that he's in or out, and it's going to be. We'll see.
This is our head coach.
50%.
This is our head coach.
Out. We're saving money on me. That's what we're doing.
Look, all jokes aside, I'm excited for this Bears season. I'm excited to see, what goes on. I'm excited to see this, go on field. I'm excited to see all that. I'm excited for us to be at McNally's on Bears game days. Pre-game shows on Bears game days live. Combs and Fitz at McNally's. Join us. Hashtag shameless plug. What? I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do like, and I was talking about this today, I do like the fact that they are a team that I know he's got the head coach title, but I really feel like this is a team with 2 head coaches. I think Shaden Waldron is the head coach of the offense, and I think that Matt Eberflus is the head coach of the defense. Sometimes inaccurate. Is the head coach.
I'd like to offer a rebuttal.
We've got 2 guys that are running this thing, and I like it because look, if the Bears don't perform to expectations, if this is a 7-win or less team, maybe even an 8-win or less team, Matt Eberflus probably loses his job. Unbelievable.
I'd like to offer a rebuttal.
Matt Eberflus. Never thought I'd miss Matt Nagy. Matt Eberflus would lose his job, and Shane Waldron, I believe, would take over as the head coach. So I like the way that they're running it. I like the things that they've done. I've liked the additions that they've made. I'm very excited to see it. That being said, I don't want to see one down of Caleb Williams on the field on Thursday night against the Houston Texans in the Hall of Fame game. Not one play.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. The having 2 NFL coaches on the same team never works out. Never really works. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I'll agree with you on that. Yeah, I don't want him on the field that game. But I do want him on the field at least in that 3rd game. At least hiking the ball, at least going through it. Because Justin Fields almost didn't play at all. None of the starters played at all last year. And they came out against Green Bay. It was Green Bay. And they were so out of sorts. They were so out of sorts into the Tampa Bay game. And once you get into that meat grinder where it's every week, you can't change anything. Nothing changes there. You have to be ready week 1. You can't change again until you get that fake bye for the Thursday night game or the bye that they have in the 6th or 7th week this year. You have no time to keep that from churning. You have no time at all. So you're basically fucked.
Well, here's the bigger problem that I
we'll know play 1 if this is the same damn team we've been watching for the last I don't know how many years. And you mentioned Nagy. You can take away that Nagy year because that was like Khalil Mack being one of the best, having one of the best defensive years in the history of NFL football.
Yeah.
So you could take out that year. But
so Jeremiah, I agree with half of your comment. Reps matter. But I don't want a series, and here's why. More than the fact that I don't need him to, I don't want to risk anything in this week. I do want to see him play in weeks 2, 3, and 4 of the preseason because they get this extra preseason game because they're playing the Hall of Fame game. I want to see reps too, and reps do matter. However, heading into this game, Braxton Jones is going to be out with an injury. Nate Davis is going to be out with an injury, and from all signs pointing to nobody is even liking what he's doing right now. Kieran Amagaji, the backup left tackle, is also out. I don't want to see him out there with left tackles that aren't playing, especially if the defensive starters for the Texans are playing. There's no chance. I don't want him going up against Daniil Hunter and all the no.
So what are you saying here? Are you saying that they should have put something into the offensive line? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think the offensive line, when healthy, is fine.
It sounds like you're saying Fitz. I'm sorry.
I don't want them to.
It sounds like Fitz, I'm sorry.
No, what I'm saying is Fitz.
I'm sorry,
Fitz. I don't want to see him out there with second string and third string offensive linemen.
I agree, but these guys are going to be okay all of a sudden. Like I don't see why there wasn't more put into this line. You keep saying Braxton Jones. We're on his 3rd year now.
Yeah.
We know what he was last year. Yeah, was he? I guess some people are saying he's okay. I didn't see it. But, maybe I'll defer to the experts in offensive line play and say, okay, he was middling to bad.
Kenneth Sloan says even more of a reason for Poles to get out there and get Williams from San Francisco. I mean, I agree.
How are you going to get Williams from?
Apologize because they should have drafted a left tackle. They should have. So you both of the Fitz brothers, you guys are both saying that they should have drafted a tackle over Roma Dunze.
How many snaps has Roma Dunze played in the NFL?
The same amount of snaps as Caleb Williams or any tackle that they would have drafted.
Caleb Williams is the goddamn quarterback of the team. I'm not saying. I think Roma Dunze, and I told you this afterwards. I think
there's no way.
It took me a while to get there. There's no way. There's no way. There is a way. The guy does not run like a deer like all the other receivers in his class. That's why he dropped.
What have we said about this team?
He dropped to 9. That's why he dropped to 9. Can I talk?
Any quarterback.
That's why he dropped to 9. That's why he dropped to 9. He could not run like the other guys can run in this draft. That's why he drops to 9. That is why he drops to 9. Maybe he will get there, but that's why he dropped to 9.
They just reported 2 days ago, Greenberg from ESPN reported that over half of the scouts had him over the other 2 wide receivers, over Neighbors and over Harrison.
How many snaps has Greenberg taken in the NFL? I hope it's more than 0.
Probably the same amount as any of the scouts have taken.
I think it's 0. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think mostly scouts are ex-players. But I don't know. What I'm saying is they did need a left tackle this year. I mean, they did
get a left tackle this year, did they not?
Yeah, they got a guy from Yale. There's been like 6 presidents that came out of the Yale. 0 left tackles. 0 left tackles. I just named one of the guys who came out of Yale, George W. Bush, just a few minutes ago. But Yale. What does Yale get?
So now you're complaining about the college of the left tackle that they drafted?
You come out on some days and you're like, I'm just going to piss them off today. This is what I'm going to
do. You said they should have drafted a left tackle, and all I said was they did. And then you're like, oh, well, yeah, but he's from Yale.
Yeah. Anyway.
And what if he comes out to be the best left tackle to ever play the game? Will you still say, but he's from Yale?
Yeah, anything could happen. And then going back to the Sox draft picks, they could have just got the best, left fielder in the history of baseball. I mean, come on. We could say that about anybody. It doesn't look like the left tackle from Yale.
They did not get Barry Bonds in that trade.
It doesn't look like the left tackle from Yale is going to be the best left tackle in the history of football. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like if you went out and gave money to it and gave some draft capital to it, maybe in the last few fucking 20 years of your goddamn history of your team, maybe you'd be a little bit better than terrible. The last player, and we looked this up, you know this, Combs, the last player that was a left tackle who made the Pro Bowl was James Big Cat Williams. Last player. Like 15, 20 years ago. The last player to be an all-pro was a left tackle. I'll wait.
Over Roma Dunze at 9, they should not have drafted a left tackle.
Waiting 40 years. It's Jimbo Covert. It's been Jimbo Covert 40 fucking years ago. We're never going to get to the NFC East. I'm sorry.
Had Joe Alt been available at 9, I would have agreed with you. But Joe Alt was not available at 9. Joe Alt got taken at 5.
By who?
By the Chargers. And Jim Harbaugh.
Wonder how that team's going to do. And Trent Williams is never coming to the San Francisco 49ers are never going to get rid of him. He's basically the best player on the team. Is
You
this
done?
Is this the show?
I mean, are you done?
Okay.
I mean,
I'll let you talk. You know this left tackle shit.
Look, I know it's something that you're going to bitch about until they get one. I know that.
And what is coming out of training camp? What's the news coming out of training camp?
It depends on where you look. I mean, the news out of training camp, it depends on where you look. Some people are saying that it's the same old offense, the same old everything else. Some people are saying that the offensive line still has issues. Some people are saying that Caleb Williams is not looking good, the same that they were saying about Justin Fields last year. I've heard that he's thrown a few picks, a few stupid picks, and made some bad decisions.
The ball too long,
yeah,
which we said he would do.
But it's training camp, man. I don't put any stock into training. I just don't. I don't put stock into it because he could look like the next coming of Joe Montana. There you go, John Fitzgibbons. I got his name into the show. He could be the next coming of Joe Montana. And he could look like that all through training camp. And then comes time for full speed and for a full game. And then all of a sudden he looks like Joe Montana's little brother who never made it. His name is John Fitzgibbons.
His dad played first base at Yale, but guess what he did? He didn't get drafted in the MLB.
Fuck you, John. Let's get in the NFC East. Let's do it. Otherwise, we'll never do it.
All right, let's get into the NFC East.
Where do we want to start?
Where would you like to start, sir?
Let's start with the Giants.
You want to start with the Giants?
Why not?
Right. Let's start
with the Giants.
The G-Man, as Chris Berman says so annoyingly.
Hey, they got Drew Lock.
Oh my God! And Devin Singletary
to replace Saquon Barkley. And guess what else they got? A left tackle named Jermaine Illuminor.
You son of a bitch. Malik Neighbors, which I don't know. Daniel Jones, like, I think they should have got a quarterback, but
they took Malik Neighbors at 6.
They did want to shore up. They also wanted to shore up, their interior line, like you said. They got John Runyon Jr., if you remember his father, who was insane on the Eagles, who would hurt people all the time.
Yep.
They did okay. I mean, I think they did okay in the offseason. I think they could have done a lot better. I think you could see them on Hard Knocks. They did, like you said, get rid of Saquon Barkley, and we'll get to the team soon that got Saquon Barkley, by the way. I don't think there's a lot of other guys to mention there. Tyrod Taylor, I think, should be a guy you mentioned because he's actually an okay quarterback and could be better than Daniel Jones. But your thoughts, Holmes?
So for me, I mean, look, when you look at this team, you look at the roster, I do like Brian Dable. I really do like him as a head coach. I just don't think that this team is built for extreme success this season. They do have a very soft first 2 weeks with the Vikings, who are going to struggle this year, with the Commanders, who are with a rookie quarterback as well. They're probably going to struggle this year. Still rebuilding that defense. And then they get the Browns, the Cowboys, at Seattle with the Seahawks, the Bengals, the Eagles, the Steelers, before they get the Commanders and Panthers. But then they go Bucks, Cowboys, Ravens, Falcons, Colts, Eagles. I mean, wow. If this was the Bears schedule, I would have 4 wins on it. And it's the Giants schedule. I have 4 wins on it. I'm going to go 4-12 for this team, or 4-13 for this team, because I really just don't think that this team is built for this. I think that Daniel Jones will be out after this season, and I think that they are going to regret not drafting a quarterback.
I'm not going to agree with you more than I am right now, but just to be an asshole, I'm going to have them at 5-12. I actually had them at 4-13 before the show, but I'll just say 5-12 just to be a contrarian. Maybe they'll win a game here or there. Maybe Saquon Barkley isn't on the team anymore. Maybe their offensive line play helps them a little bit because they did get better on the interior and they got some proven players there. But I don't see the Giants. I see Dable getting fired this year. You?
I don't see Dable getting fired. I think Dable's a really good coach. This team plays hard for him.
Yeah.
I think he'll have more time. I think, they'll know, hey, Daniel Jones isn't his guy. Daniel Jones was given to him with a really bad contract nonetheless. And he did take Daniel Jones to a playoff game in a rebuild year nonetheless. So for me, I don't think he gets fired, but I do think that the Giants have a down year, and I think they're searching for a quarterback in the draft this year.
I don't want to compare him to Bill Belichick, but Bill Belichick got fired from the Browns. So even Dable can get fired, and I think Dable's a good coach. I think the Bears should have picked him up, but just another coach that got alphabet soup for. But
let's go to Washington.
Washington, the nation's capital. Here we go. The Washington Commanders. That's their name, just so you know. That's their name.
The Redskins.
And they might go back. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
I'm telling you, Washington NRA is the way to go. Washington, not Redskins anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's some Native Americans who were saying they're trying to pull them back. Whatever. But they did pick up, I thought, the second.
Should they be the Washington Bidens because they decided to pull their name out?
Here we go. I'll give you a rim shot for that. But no cheering crowd.
You're giving me a rim job. Whoa.
All right, so
go ahead.
Jaden Daniels. My second favorite quarterback of the draft, which I thought was pretty close to Caleb Williams, not your second. But my second, Jaden Daniels. They pick up Jaden Daniels. I think he could be their quarterback of the future. They also get Zach Ertz. in there. Luke McCaffrey could be a good wide receiver. Austin Eckler as well as was good with got rid of Sam Howell. I mean, only you liked him. Curtis Samuel, though, went to the Buffalo Bills that we talked about a few weeks ago. He could be good on another team, but I this is obviously a team in transition. Your thoughts? You can go first, and then I'll go.
Yeah, look, I look at the schedule again, and it's another pretty tough schedule for Washington, even with Jaden Daniels, but the defenses he's going to be facing, that Tampa defense, the Bengals defense, even the Cardinals defense is going to be better than people think. The Browns defense, the Ravens defense, the Bears defense, the Eagles defense, the Cowboys defense. I mean, I think that this team, I'm not as high on Jaden Daniels as you are, but if Jaden Daniels is as good as you think that Jaden Daniels is going to be, this should be a 6-win team, and that's where I have them at 6-11.
Jeremiah says after they peel Jaden Daniels off the field, they win 4 games. I don't know. I think he's going to be a little bit better than that. Yeah, he could get hurt. For a lot of rookies get hurt. That's basically the NFL.
I think they beat the Giants twice. I think they should beat the Panthers. I think that they'll be competitive against a team like the Steelers. They should be able to beat the Saints and the Titans. So, I mean, that's where I've got my 6 wins coming from.
Yeah. No, I had him at 6-11 too. I can't believe I had the first 2 teams at the same goddamn record as you. But
what the hell?
For posterity, I can have them at 7-10 if you like.
No,
but I
we'll keep them at 6-11. That's where you have them. I hate you.
Yeah.
Why do we think alike? Me? Because you think like me.
On this, we think alike. We just yelled at each other for 20 minutes.
It's true.
Where do you want to go?
You're also still in your first marriage, so.
Yes. And I'm never getting married again, by the way. Not happening.
Cowboys or Eagles? Where do you want to go?
Let's go to Dallas.
All right.
I think they're a little bit more interesting, especially right now.
They are definitely more interesting than the first 2 teams. That's for sure.
Cowboys key additions.
Ezekiel Elliott. A reunion with them. I look with all of these out there, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Guyton, Leafu, they did do some stuff in the draft. I like some of the things they did in the draft. But losing Tony Pollard, losing Michael Gallup, losing Jonathan Hankins and Van Der Esch and Stephon Gilmore, it's going to hurt. And I think this defense is going to be better, but I think the Cowboys are going to take a step back this year. I don't like this Cowboys team. And I think they walk away from Dak at the end of the season. I think they're going to be on the search for a new quarterback. I think that Dak Prescott goes elsewhere. So I myself have this team at 9. I have this team at 9-8.
9-8. I had them at 10-7 this season. No team has won consecutive division titles since the Andy Reid led Eagles in this division, and I don't see that happening again this year. I have them at 10-7 just because I think Dak Prescott is better than people think he is. I think it'll win him a couple of games. Jerry Jones is calling this season the do more with less season.
Yeah.
Owner of your team and your GM for no reason. I don't know why he's the GM or co-GM, whatever the hell he's calling himself.
I think they're going to have Quentin Ewers next year.
I don't know if there's a great coach in this division. I mean, we didn't talk about the Commanders coach, but they have Dan Quinn, who was I thought he was a great coach with the Falcons, but who knows, or a very good coach with the Falcons, but who knows what he can do with the Commanders. But I don't know if there's a great coach in this division.
This
thinking out of the box.
Yeah, they have to open up at Cleveland. Then they go and they play the Saints, and then they have to play the Ravens. Then they do get the Giants and the Steelers, but then they got a gauntlet of games where they've got the Lions, Niners, Falcons, Eagles, and Texans. I mean, that is a 5-game stretch that you could realistically be 0-5 in that stretch.
Jeremiah has them winning 12 games. What a shock. What a shock.
Jeremiah.
Bouncing the second round of the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, that's what they did last year. So repeat of last year?
Yeah, no. They're not going to be.
I don't see
especially
them
if they
doing
don't.
that.
I don't know if they're going to pay CD to get him to play this year.
Well, I was just looking before, and Jerry Jones said, "Oh yeah, it's been 6 months since we lost that terrible game to the Packers, and him and Dak have been playing and training in the offseason."
They lost by 50.
I know. I think him losing or them losing pissed him off. And I don't think him losing a couple of, training camp weeks is going to bother him. But that's Jerry Jones for you. I don't know what that is. He always has a spin going on. He's always like backpedaling.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe you should have kept Jimmy Johnson a little longer.
Let's get to the brotherly shove tush pushes.
Yes. The city of brotherly love. Philadelphia, everybody. For some reason, I can't play the music, but whatever.
They added the entire Giants offense to their roster at running back. They got Bryce Huff, Devin White, drafted Jalix Hunt, Quinion Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean. Not to mention added CJ Gardner-Johnson at safety out of Detroit. I really like this team, man. I really do.
I do too. Even I'm getting rid of Byard, is it? Whatever it is. Byard.
He's with the Bears now.
Who's with the Bears now. Safety with the Bears now. And then Fletcher Cox. That's a big loss, but
Fletcher what? Did I lose you?
Did you? No, you didn't lose me. What the hell are you talking about?
You said Fletcher what?
Oh my God. Do you want me to say the word? They lost Hassan Reddick as well, who actually Justin Fields made his bitch.
And is holding out right now. Hassan Reddick is.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And obviously Jason Kelsey retired, but I think the biggest, I mean, to have Saquon Barkley and you have Jalen Hurts running the ball, because Jalen Hurts is going to run for 600 yards.
Yeah.
Like I remember talking to Doubting Thomas, and yes, I said your name, and he couldn't believe that Patrick Mahomes runs for 500 or 600 rushing yards a year. He does. Like there is rushing quarterbacks in this league. They're actually at the top of the league, most of them. And Jalen Hurts with Saquon Barkley, I think that's going to be quite the pairing. I think this team easily probably wins 11 or 12 games. They easily won 11 games last year, and they were bad at the end of the year. They ended the year. They were one of the worst teams in the league at the end.
And because of that, they benefited on a schedule. And I like their schedule. I like the way things shake out for them. I like the way it lined up. They don't have a gauntlet like any of the other teams in the division do,
which is weird. But
I've got this team at 13-4. I really think that this team is going to be one of those. They're going to get hot early. They do play the Packers in Brazil week 1. That's a game that can go either way, to be honest with you. The Packers are the Packers, and they are the Eagles, but they're in Brazil. It's that game is a toss up. It's week 1. Anything can happen. It's a Friday night at that. But then the Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers, Browns, and Giants are all games that they should absolutely positively win before they finally get their first real test, in my eyes, which is the Bengals after that Giants game. And then they get the Jaguars the week after that, but then they get the Cowboys, which will be another test. Then Commanders, Rams before they get the Ravens, and then Panthers, Steelers, Commanders before they play the Cowboys again. So Like it's like every time they have a tough game, every time they have a game they might lose that you see them not winning, they've got 3 or 4 games after that they should just walk all over teams. So I have them. I think this is a 13-4 football team. Where you got them at? You said 11 or 12. What do you say?
I'm gonna say 12-5. They won 11 games last year and were really terrible at the end. They were 10-1 or 10-2. I think they were 10-1. Either way, 10-1, 10-2. Ended up at 11-6. We're one of the worst teams down the. I don't see that happening again. I don't really particularly like their coach.
Yeah.
Even though I liked him when he went to the Super Bowl, but now that I'm hearing more about some of his ideas, I don't like. Can they wear green week 1?
So this was a thing that kind of got put to bed. So yes, it's a stadium, it's a soccer stadium. They're nuts about them wearing green, but it's the fans. Yeah. The fans are not allowed to wear it. That's where the problems are going to lie. Because if their fans come together wearing green, that might be a different story, but the teams are going to be wearing green. But the fan bases now, I would say if you are a Packer fan, you should wear that ugly, gross throwback that is like navy and yellow.
Yeah.
If you are an Eagles fan, I would just wear a black jacket.
They were going through the ductwork, right? And that one soccer stadium.
Soccer fans are nuts, and I'm telling you right now, if you are an Eagles fan or a Packer fan that is going to this stadium and you're like, screw them, this is my team, I bought tickets, I'm gonna wear green. Just make sure that you have all your affairs in order. Make sure that you've got your will and testament all taken care of for your family. Make sure your life insurance is up to date, because these people will kill you.
They'll throw you off a cliff.
They'll throw you off a cliff. And hit the accelerator as they're off the cliff.
Tony Thomas saying the Eagles have brought the white quarterback.
The corner back. Yeah, white cornerback. Yeah.
I said corner.
Cooper DeJean. You didn't know he was white, did you?
That's what he's that's what he's cheering for right now. What is this?
When was the last time there was a white cornerback?
What is this,
it's just not a thing anymore. It's just not a thing anymore. Name me one.
Who's the old safety?
Name me one since Jason Sehorn.
Old safety. Seaborn, yeah.
Jason Sehorn. Name me another cornerback.
Sanborn. I'm all on Sanborn.
I love Sanborn.
Why?
Because he's a hometown kid. He's a good story. He's Rudy. He's the Bears' Rudy.
He is not Rudy.
He is the Bears' Rudy.
Well, he can't run, so maybe he is Rudy.
He's Rudy.
So we both have the Philadelphia Eagles.
We both have the Eagles. I got them 13-4. We are like one game off in this division on every team. And it's kind of been that way for the most part in every single division. I can't wait for the Wheel of Death to come back.
All our lives hang by a thread. Now we've got a man waiting for sentence. But ain't it the truth? You take your chances with the law. Justice is only a roll of the dice, a flip of the coin, a turn of the wheel.
This is the Wheel of Death.
And here we go.
It's back.
I'm gonna kick the shit out of you this year. That's all I have.
I'm putting Evil Malort on the wheel.
Evil Malort can go on the wheel. I'm gonna put some stuff on the wheel. I got something special for you on the wheel.
I'd like to offer a rebuttal.
All right, you ready to get out of here, man?
Let's go, big guy.
Let's do
Have a
it,
good
man.
show.
For any of those of you that missed any part of the show, you want to catch any part of it again, you check us out tomorrow on Badass Radio. Check them out on Facebook. Check out Badass Radio on Facebook. The link to everything is on there. They do a great job over there. A lot of other great podcasts over there as well. It is a metal and rock radio station as well. So they've got some other podcasts on there. They do play some metal and rock music. Check them out.
Wait, a race war.
Yes, we're going to be live at McNally's on Bears game day, starting with week 1. Just a reminder there. And until next time, next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies.